Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put a hat on. There we go. Actually, I should probably colour coordinate myself, shouldn't I? Yeah, that'll do. What's happening, people? How are we all doing? Welcome back to another Tyler Rowlinson video. Today is slightly different from what I'd normally post. Today is a bit of a discussion, debate video, as you saw yesterday, it was officially confirmed by the EFL that if the 2019-20 season is unable to be finished, then the season will be determined by a points per game system, also known as PPG. Now, do you want to know what the championship table looks like if that system comes into effect? So as you can see, Leeds and West Bromwich Albion will be promoted automatically, and relegated is Barnsley, Luton and Charlton.
I really just want to die.
So this video is basically just going to be me grilling PPG, if I'm being honest, because I'm just going to be honest right now. PPG is unfair and unjust towards Charlton. So this is going to be very biased because obviously I'm a Charlton fan. Obviously we're in the relegation zone currently, but I'm just going to be pointing down PPG and just why it's just such an unfair system to relegate us in this situation. You know what, sod the hat, I'll just embrace the boldness. So PPG, in my opinion, points per game system, yeah, I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair towards Charlton in particular, and there's been, I mean, so many arguments as to how the season's going to be finished, because I'll say this right now, I personally don't have much confidence in the 2019-20 season finishing, but doing it off PPG for me, from a Charlton perspective, is incredibly unjust and incredibly unfair. And there's been so many other arguments, other proposals that have been put in place, alternative ways that we could end the season, and in reality there isn't a fair way of doing it. Is PPG the fairest way of doing it? More than likely, but in the case of Charlton, for me, it just isn't fair. Our defeat to Middlesbrough, our 1-0 defeat to Middlesbrough back in March, was the final game played in the Championship, and that game saw us drop into the relegation zone for the first time this season. And then 5 days later, the season gets called off, and we've only been in the relegation zone for 5 days. So to relegate a club that's been in the relegation zone for a lot less than the teams around us is just, in my opinion, unfair. And the team that we were supposed to be playing before the season was called off was Hull City, and they were in absolute freefall at the time. They were undoubtedly the worst team in the Championship at the time. They hadn't won a game since New Year's Day. They were on an 11-game winless run, the exact same run that we were on from October to December. And if you take a look at the stats, despite the fact Charlton hadn't won in the last 3 games, had lost their last 3 games without scoring, if you had to look at the statistics, you would back Charlton to beat Hull. You naturally would. And had we had beaten Hull, PPG would have been a lot different. Hull would have been in the relegation zone. We'd have clambered out of it and we would have survived. And it goes the other way around as well. We'll get with the Middlesbrough game. In my opinion, the Middlesbrough game should never have happened. I personally think the government were very slow to react to lockdown. I think we should have gone in lockdown a lot quicker, and I think football should have been called off a lot sooner. Had the Middlesbrough game been called off, it would have been Middlesbrough in the relegation zone and not us. It would have been a whole different story had the Middlesbrough game had been called off and had Hull had been the whole game had gone ahead. And Ben HD, the Championship YouTuber, said the same thing. He said that with PPG, with this system, it's an argument in the case of Charlton in that it's unfair because we weren't given the chance to play Hull. We didn't get the chance to clamber out the relegation zone, and that's the way I feel as well. Of course, me being biased as a Charlton supporter, but that's the reality of it. The fact that we've not been given the chance to beat the worst team in the league, and there was a high chance that we would have done, and we've only been in the relegation zone for less than a week, for only 1 match day, and because of PPG we're going to go down because of it, and I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair that we've not been given the chance to prove to people that we can survive, and that's why PPG is not a very good system in terms of the relegation side of it, because clubs deserve the chance to show that they can get out of this. Football is so unpredictable. For all we know, Barnsley, who are bottom of the league by 6 points, 6 points away from safety, they could win the last 9 games of the season and survive. There are 9 games left, 27 points up for grabs, and the fact that they're just going to make assumptions as to how many points we're going to get and relegate us, as I've said several times, is unfair. We deserve the chance. Teams like Charlton, Luton and Barnsley, we deserve the chance to show to the Championship that we can survive. There wasn't a fair way of doing it. Like, there really wasn't a fair way of doing it. You couldn't null and void the season because that would just mess up the teams being promoted, because teams do deserve to go up. And then the one that I was in favour for initially was promote clubs but don't relegate. But again, that would just overcomplicate things. If you were to promote the top 3 teams in the Championship, for example, and no one went down from the Premier League, it would be a 23-team league in the Premier League next season for 2020-21. Clubs deserve the chance to survive. And in the Championship, it's outrageously close. Now, the sad reality of it is that this is a final decision by the EFL. If the season cannot be finished, PPG is what's happening, which will, as of course, relegate Charlton. Now, sadly, if that is the case and this happens, then as much as Charlton fans will call it unfair, we simply just have to take it on the chin. We just have to move on with it, because ultimately we can't really sit there and say that we don't deserve to go down, because the reality is we've not been good enough. We had a flying start at the start of the season, then injury crisis hit us from October, subsequently went on an 11-game winless run, and that ruined us. And then came the poor ownership, a lacklustrous January transfer window, and then of course the saga between Tanu Nima and Matt Southall. You could see that clearly had an effect on the squad, and ultimately we just kept dropping points. We became everyone's free points at the end of it. We were in freefall, just like Hull City. We've not been good enough, in my opinion, this season. We've not been good enough. Our defence has been awful. Attackingly, we've not been very good going forward, not been creating all too many chances. But it's just the fact that we've only been in the relegation zone for one match day, and they're going to relegate us based off that. Yes, we do deserve it, in my opinion. We've not been good enough, but we deserve the chance to prove ourselves. There's 9 games left in the season, and it's just... They're just going to end it early when, in my opinion, there is a team above us in Hull City who are far worse than us in this current situation, and again deserve to go down because of their poor form. They've not won a game since New Year's Day. In reality, going to League One, introducing this PPG system, the EFL have literally just hit the final nail in the coffin for the club, because if Charlton go back to League One, it will be the death of our club. That will kill us. So, in effect, that's us literally done for. With the current ownership and us being in absolute dire straits, in dire need, and we're just falling apart. PPG, that's us. That is us done for. And that's the sad reality of it, because obviously with the ongoing situation of the club, I don't see it really being fixed anytime soon. And with the ongoing investigation, we don't know what's going to happen. We're literally in the same situation as Bolton and Bury were. If we go down to League One, are our star players going to want to stay? Of course not. And then chances of us going into administration is very high, so that then will result in a 12-point deduction, and we'll do a Bolton and field our under-23s. Promotion is happening, relegation is happening. The one thing that grinds my gears about this entire thing is that the playoffs are carrying on. The playoffs are continuing across all divisions, and I'm just sitting here like, how's this fair? So with the PPG system, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Brentford and Preston will be in the playoffs based off this PPG system. And the playoffs will carry on. So Fulham will play Preston, Nottingham Forest will play Brentford. And I'm just sitting there, well, hold on a minute. Why are teams being given the chance to play out to promote, yet teams in the relegation zone don't have that same luxury? Now, if you take a look at the Championship table, Stoke in 17th are only 3 points clear of Charlton in 22nd, who are in the relegation zone. Anyone of the bottom 8 can still mathematically go down. Literally, if we were to play Hull and results went our way, we could climb like 3 or 4, even 5 positions just like that. And it's just like, why aren't we being given that opportunity when the teams in the playoffs are being given that chance? And I remember seeing this proposal. Why don't we put the bottom 8 teams in the Championship into a mini-league? That being Stoke, Huddersfield, Wigan, Middlesbrough, Charlton, Hull, Luton and Barnsley. Put them all in a mini-league. The bottom 3 teams of that mini-league go down. And it works both ways in League One as the same as well. If you take a look at the League One table, the top 8. Coventry at the top are, I think, about 6 points clear. And then Rotherham in 2nd to the team in 8th. Are also separated by 3 points. You could do the same thing there. The top 8 in League One go into a mini league as well. Top 2 go up, then do playoffs, or top 3 teams get promoted or something. Sunderland, for example, who are outside the playoffs, they're only 3 points off 2nd. Again, if they were to win their next game before the season got called off and results went their way, again, they could go into the top 2 or even in the playoffs. The fact that they're doing it off a predicted system just isn't fair. That's why I'm saying that mini leagues isn't exactly a bad idea, because in my opinion, clubs outside the playoffs in League One deserve the chance to prove that they can get in the playoffs. And the same with the relegation zone in the Championship. Teams in the relegation zone deserve the chance to survive in the league. And that's why being denied the chance to play Hull City, yet the team in 6th place in League One, being Wycombe, who are currently outside the playoffs, by the way, but they go into the playoffs through PPG, they are going to get the opportunity to replace us. And I'm just sitting here like, that can't happen. It can't happen. That can't be allowed. That's why PPG just isn't fair. for a number of reasons. We've not been in the relegation zone too long for a start, and second of all, we've not been given the opportunity to prove ourselves that we can stay up. That's why I'm in favour of doing mini leagues. Are they going to do a mini league? Probably not, but I don't really see it as a bad idea, and it can be done in League One as well. Going to League One in our situation will kill us. That's why now, with the EFL making that final, PPG is now the way the season will end if the season can't be finished. The only way Charlton can survive, not just in the Championship but as a club, is if the season is played out and if it's finished. This is the only way. And obviously with all this COVID-19 stuff ending the season and us nearly returning to training, a Championship return is not that far away. And I remember seeing like the government have given the green light for Premier League and Championship clubs to continue on the 1st of June. Premier League clubs are back in training already. Championship are on the verge of doing so. I think League One aren't too far away either. A Championship return is not that far away, but with the EFL now implementing this PPG system, the only way the club can survive is if we play on. Our team is now fully fit. Everyone is available for selection. So now it's a case of the team, it's up to the team. The team now need to deliver on the pitch. Am I confident that we will survive? Not necessarily, and I'll admit that myself. Since we lost to Middlesbrough, even long before that, I didn't have much confidence in us staying in this division. The one thing that really does break my heart about this whole thing is that the job that Lee Bowyer have done, the job that Johnny Jackson's done, the job that Steve Gallen has done, and co. The entire club, the entire backroom staff, the job that they have done to get us in this division has just been for nothing. And we're now going back to square one. And even worse than that. Because to relegate us will literally be the end of our club. And that's why PPG is not fair. PPG, more than likely, was probably the fairest way to do it overall. But for Charlton's case, it's the death of our club. And that's why I'm so against it. And of course, I'm being biased here. I naturally would be. This decision is not 100% final. The only way that the season is to be ended early is if the Championship clubs vote a 51% majority in that favour. Now, if you saw previously, the Championship clubs have previously stated that they intend to finish the season. So, in my opinion, I believe that Championship clubs, as a majority, will vote in favour to complete and play out the season. So, in that sense, it's well done for us, because obviously if the season is to end early, PPG comes into effect and we're down. But the Championship clubs need to vote in majority of that. If they vote in favour to complete and play out the season, it's down to Lee Bowyer, it's down to Johnny Jackson, it's down to the players to get us out of this mess. As I've said, not very confident in us doing that. That if we go down, this is it for us. So they need to put in their heart and soul into these last few games, give it their all and keep us up. There are winnable games in our last 9 games. Not being given the opportunity to show that we can do that, yet the team in 6th place in League One, who isn't even in the playoffs at the moment, is being given the opportunity to take our place, is ridiculous. This is why we're now relying on the season to be completed. Because if it isn't completed, we're f***ed. And that's the unfortunate reality of it. What do you guys think about this points per game system, PPG system? Do you think it's a good idea for the league? Do you think it's not? Let me know in the comments below. Fans from other clubs, let me know what you think. If you want to call me biased, feel free. But naturally, with me being a Charlton fan, I'm going to be biased in this situation, because with the club's current situation, we're literally going to be dead at this stage. And with Charlton, it's now just a waiting game. I don't know when the hearing is for the Championship clubs to vote in favour of this, or to vote in general about it. I'm not too sure. But for Charlton Athletic Football Club, we are now relying on the season to finish. The season has to be completed and it has to be played out and come to an end. So if the clubs vote in favour of that, happy days. But it's then down to the management team and the players to do the talking on the pitch and get us out of this mess. This has been Tyler Roninson. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take it easy, guys.